Truth and radical acceptance aren't luxury goods, they're life support. Hi, I'm Peter Hislop, and this podcast is called Shift. This is the second of the podcast series on truth. Today we ask why humanity, given several millennia of practice, is still so spectacularly bad at telling or dealing with the truth. In our last episode, we explored truth across the ages, from Socrates' awkward dinner parties to modern spin doctors. Today we turn the lens on the one arena where truth is routinely mugged in a back alley, the commercial world. Here's the question. If truth is essential for survival, why do so many industries treat it like an inconvenient relative who's shown up uninvited to the Christmas lunch? We know what denial looks like in individuals. The addict who insists they can stop any time they like. The partner who's not shouting, just passionate. The family who declares, "We don't talk about that, dear." I remember as a child hearing both and being admonished for lying and at the same time told, "We don't air our dirty linen in public." Now enlarge that picture until it fills a skyscraper. Entire industries behave the same way, only with better accountants. They deny, distort and distract because truth threatens profit margins. Advertising is the art of lying in high definition. From the Marlboro man galloping heroically toward lung disease to the diet shake promising you'll feel full all day. You will, but most of it's of resentment. Marketing has always been a delicate dance around reality. In the 1950s, the tobacco lobby literally hired doctors, dressed them in white coats, put a camera in front of them and had them proclaim cigarettes soothe the throat. Because nothing says health like menthol and tar. Today we've upgraded to influencers selling detox teas that do nothing except remind your digestive system it exists. Advertising doesn't break the law, it simply stretches truth on a Pilates reformer until it screams politely. Then there's finance, the cathedral of creative mathematics. Remember 2008, the global financial crisis? It was the world's largest experiment in what happens when anyone lies at once and then writes it down. Mortgage-backed securities were sold as safe, much like the Titanic was billed as unsinkable. And in Australia, the Royal Commission into Banking revealed a veritable Cirque du Soleil of debt and deceit. Banks charging fees to the dead, a bold strategy for customer retention, and advisors recommending products they didn't understand to people who couldn't afford them. This wasn't a few bad apples, it was the orchard that needed therapy. The oil industry deserves a special mention, chiefly because it knew. As early as the 1970s, internal research warned that continued emissions would warm the planet. Their response? Launch an advertising campaign questioning the science. It's as if the arsonists, having spotted smoke, held a press conference to deny the existence of fire. And so decades were lost while executives performed moral yoga to justify another quarter's profits. The results? Rising seas, melting ice, and a generation of teenagers skipping school to do the job of adults. Then there's Big Pharma, a phrase that really sounds like a Bond villain. Consider the opiate crisis. Companies assured us that their drugs weren't addictive, while internal memos suggested they were about as addictive as oxygen. Doctors were wined, dined and educated into prescribing more. Communities collapsed. Executives retired with bonuses so large they could have retiled the moon. It was denial at industrial scale. Addicts claiming and blaming their dealers, except this time the dealers had lawyers. The tech world entered the chat claiming to connect humanity. How lovely. Instead, it connected us to a 24-hour panic attack. Facebook once insisted it was merely a platform not responsible for what people posted, rather like a bartender claiming no link between the drinks he served and the brawl that it entailed. Twitter became a gladiatorial arena where truth went to die of exhaustion. Algorithms learned that outrage sells, and we, noble truth seekers, that we are clicked, refreshed. The result? A global experiment in collective dopamine withdrawal. And who could forget fashion, capitalism's favourite quick change artist? Fast fashion promises empowerment through polyester. Look fabulous, it says, for the price of a sandwich. What it doesn't say is that someone else paid the rest of the bill, the worker sewing 15 hours a day in Dhaka, or the ocean receiving next season's leftovers. Every glossy campaign hides a landfill. Every runway conceals a river of dye. But we buy the illusion because guilt doesn't photograph well. Then there's the grand master of untruth, Bernie Madoff. He didn't merely lie, he architected deceit. An entire floor of his Manhattan office was devoted to fabricating trades. The world's first open-plan delusion. Investors believed him because the numbers looked tidy, and we do love tidy lies. Truth avoided becomes truth buried. Truth buried becomes truth obliterated, until one day the auditors arrive and the entire pyramid collapses spectacularly, like a souffle made of fraud. Now, why does all this matter? Because truth avoidance doesn't just corrupt it, it interrupts evolution. And this is the core of my message. In nature, creatures that misread reality, say mistaking a predator for a shrub, tend not to leave many descendants. But in business, we reward denial. We hand out bonuses for ignoring reality until it bursts through the door with a subpoena. When truth is suppressed, the correction is always catastrophe. People pay, the workers, the customers, the taxpayers. The liars rarely do. They write memoirs. Now for a cheerier thought. Truth actually works. Patagonia famously told customers not to buy more of its jackets, and sales went up. Why? Because honesty is rarer than a politician's apology. Unilever faced the environment cost of its palm oil supply chain head on and built a sustainability brand worth billions. Even Domino's Pizza once admitted its pizzas tasted like cardboard and rebuilt the recipe and the business. Facing truth isn't a weakness. It's Darwinism. You adapt, you survive, deny it, and you join Madoff in the Museum of Hubris. So here's the moral of this capitalist fable. We all recognise denial in individuals. The addict, the abuser, the family that whispers, everything's fine, while the roof burns. But the same pathology scales up from the boardroom to the global market. Truth and radical acceptance aren't luxury goods, they're life support. Truth denied unravels truth. Truth accepted creates strength. And in the end, the business of avoiding truth is quite literally bad business. For shareholders, for society, for the species. Because however long you postpone it, truth always sends an invoice. And unlike a bank, it doesn't charge the dead.